to catch a few people that are in here. And as always, disclaimer, this is for entertainment purposes only. Basically, my thoughts, commentary, and opinions. And hopefully, we can start a conversation. If you yourself have ever been affected by the way healthcare is in our country, which I'm in the USA, you will probably be able to empathize with a lot of what I'm about to say. And I did make a live a few weeks ago, a few months ago, entitled Medical Gaslighting, and I privated that soon after for one reason or another. And I might be repeating a lot of the same sentiments, so I'm sorry about that. But for anybody who is tuning in, I just want to reiterate that I have recently went through surgery, what is considered a major surgery, a hysterectomy, although I literally didn't spend the night in the hospital once. They had me in and out, but the time from when my surgery started to when I was going home was like 4 or 5 hours. It was pretty crazy, maybe 6. But that's another issue with the cost of healthcare. I believe, first of all, it needs to be redone from the bottom up. Like instead of, which I do think universal healthcare would be ideal that other countries have done it, but I think it would be a while for us to implement it. But I think that should be the goal. Hi, Shivanji. I'm from Kentucky here in the US. Hey, Jory, how are you doing? How are you doing this week? I hope you're having a good week so far. So I have experienced, I know a lot of you have, what it's like to be gaslit by doctors. And they, a lot of what is going on, they're controlled by the insurance companies and they're at their will. And everything costs so much more so than other countries. People will go on what they call medical tourism visits. And I considered that for my hysterectomy because I had a handful of doctors say, "We will not give you a hysterectomy until and unless the cancer cells become invasive," meaning official cancer. I was at the stage right before, and that wasn't the first time. Like, I had been at that stage. We had done what you do to treat it, including removing a precancerous mass from my cervix, and I still had doctors saying it has to become advanced cancer. That I wanna spread this message not because I'm seeking pity. I'm doing better now, and I was blessed with a good surgeon and I got the surgery that I wanted to prevent getting cervical cancer. But I just wonder how many other people are going through this. And when I try to justify it, the only thing I can really think of is classism. If I wasn't as low income as I am, and this this took place over about 5 years. There was a period of time I had private insurance, a period of time I was on what they call Obamacare, the government insurance plan, and that was really difficult for me to get care in the area I was in. That was my experience. There wasn't a lot of providers. Hi, Evelyn. I'm just talking about my experiences. This is for entertainment purposes only. Of course, no medical advice. I don't think anybody could misconstrue any of this as medical advice. I'm basically bitching about all the stuff that I've been through. And yeah, they wanted to wait until the cancer cells became like real invasive cancer. And at that point, they would have to take my ovaries. They did not take my ovaries with this recent hysterectomy. And it is such a shame. Like, I always think about the celebrities like Angelina Jolie, which I'm glad she got the surgery to remove her ovaries. She lost her mom to ovarian cancer. And people like her that have wealth, they get put on the cover of a magazine when they take out precancerous organs or even just organs that are likely to become cancerous one day. Hi, Dover. Hi, Ahmed. Oh, oh, Dover, I'm sorry to hear that. I am in the same boat. Hi, Jeet. Oh, hey, Yoder. I just read your email, Yoder, and I wanted to. It's funny how I bounce back and forth between Anna and Yoder. I hope other people have caught on your Anna. But thank you for that email. I really needed that. And I just wish I would have contacted you sooner because what I'm leading up to is I was supposed to. Thank you, Sam. I don't know what language you're speaking, Vayasan or Velison. And hi, Wa. I'm from Kentucky. And okay, so I was scheduled to go get a CT scan today because I have two inguinal hernias and they're way more common in men. That took several years to diagnose. Several doctors said that it was a swollen lymph node from shaving my bikini line. And it was an inguinal hernia, and I should have known that there's a weight limit and I was lifting too much. And So it's like they can't even diagnose a hernia correctly, but to give them credit, it does happen the vast majority of the time in men. And I'm just like this weird anomaly, high testosterone female. I don't know if my PCOS ties into like my muscle density and how that played out, but I already had these two hernias to contend with, right? But I was like, first, we're going to deal with the precancerous organs and try to prevent a horrible form of cancer, which, if you didn't know, cervical cancer is one of like the worst kinds of cancer a woman could get. It's insane to me that any medical professional could look somebody in the eye that's trying to get treatment after 10 years of battling precancerous lesions and be like, no, it has to become actual cancer. And honestly, yeah, it could be just me being anxious. I'll give you that. It could be all in my head, but I felt a sense of them looking down on me. And I did say to two of them, if I was a doctor's wife, if I was your daughter, like, what would you want for them? Like, I really do feel like this would be different if I wasn't me. So many times in my life, and now I'm past, my prime in a lot of ways, right? Hit the wall a long time ago. A lot of people would say, oh gosh, I'm sorry about not keeping up with the chat at all. I'm going to lose my train of thought if I don't finish what I'm going to say. But see, I forgot what I was going to say. Okay, you do take for granted, like they say, youth is wasted on the youth. What's that saying? You do take it for granted. You're so anxious, and it like really there's nothing to do with your beauty if you're not going to monetize it. And most of the ways women monetize it nowadays, aren't beneficial to them at all or society. So it's just really interesting to me that I felt really looked down on, and I felt a lot of it had to do with the fact that I wasn't of a certain age as well. So I don't know if ageism plays into that at all, but the older I get, I feel a little bit less like they respect me a tad bit more because I am a little bit closer to their age, but I just can't help it. It's like the income thing. And this current surgeon that actually gave me the surgery, she said some people just don't want to perform surgery. They just don't do surgeries that much. But I think she was being fair to her fellow colleagues and peers, like she's not going to sit there and talk crap about them with me, right? But I feel very strongly that there's no excuse for telling somebody who's battled precancerous lesions for 10 years that they need to wait until it becomes actual advanced cancer. At that point, not only do they take your ovaries, but they take this sac that is around our wombs as women that they don't ever even touch whenever you have a hysterectomy where they keep the ovaries and it's not for cancer. And bless all those women that have to go through that. Like it must be a lot. And I don't know how many of you are versed in hysterectomies. I'm sorry, I should have said that in the disclaimer in the beginning. This is a lot of medical issues surrounding women because it's my issues. I have a lot of female issues. I was diagnosed with PCOS when I was 16, the most common cause of infertility in women in our country. So I've had to deal with hormone imbalances in horrible periods on top of the precancerous lesions. Hi, Anna. It's nice to meet you too if you're still here. Hi, Nicholas. Hi, Keith. Um, Join me in your recovery today as you enjoy having a blessed day, flowing into your complete comfort and peace with every healing breath. That's a very nice thought, Keith. Thank you for saying that. I was lifting too heavy, Uncle Incel. That's the most common way inguinal hernias happen. And I'm glad you said that. Thank you. Because people need to know, like, my teenage sons like to lift weights. I'm so scared for them because it's no fun. It affects your digestion, it affects a lot. And mine isn't even as bad as it could be. I already got CT scans on them about 4 years ago. And the surgeon did me a favor because he didn't have to tell me this. He was like, look, these are inguinal hernias. I have them on both sides, but only one that actually pops out and they're not sticking completely through your abdominal wall. Like this isn't at risk of becoming a life-threatening injury that much if you don't lift too much. And I was like, okay, cool. Because I consulted with this other hernia place that was in Florida, and they're like, oh, Lydia, you need to make this appointment now because you're gonna end up in an ER in Indiana because this is when we lived in Indiana still. They were trying to like scare me about it. Willie said welfare has destroyed the family. Oh, I have a lot to say about that. I agree with you to a certain point, but now with the wage stagnation and everything going on, like I think that like people truly do need it, but like I totally understand where you're coming from that. I wish it was Red River Gorge behind me, Dan Story. I live a few hours away from that. It's just a pretty tapestry. Uncle Incel is a funny name, isn't it, Dark Magician? Are you from last night? How are you doing? And hi, David. I have female issues. I've been married 4 times, been divorced. If that's true, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope that you're doing well now and better, whatever your situation is. Um, Kids running from you. Well, actually, I spent the day with my 15-year-old today. We went to Abraham Lincoln's birthplace in Hodgkinsville, Kentucky, and I'm leading up to this because I was scheduled to get a CT scan on all my hernias, right? Because get this, during my hysterectomy, she told me as soon as I woke up, like it bubbled up when she was had closed all the incisions, and she reopened me to make sure everything was okay, and it wasn't. It bubbled up on the side where my inguinal hernia sticks out the most. So I think that an incisional hernia was created. I didn't even know that was a thing. And once again, I don't think it's at strong risk of what they call strangulation, I believe, when you could pass away within hours because your intestines are twisted. And unfortunately, I am at higher risk of that than the average person that doesn't have all these hernias. But at the same time, like if I take care of myself, I'm not as at high of a risk as people that have more severe hernias. So I've avoided the repairs, but I've had a few times to leave work early the past few weeks. Like I can't keep dealing with these flare ups of pain. Sometimes I'm fine, sometimes it hurts really bad. And I sucked it up, was gonna get the CT scan. I've had 2 done before. I had one, like, up here because I had sinus repair surgery, not because of sniffing rugs, I had a bad root canal. Like, the dentist shouldn't have performed a root canal on this tooth. It was bad, ended up in this calcified infection in my jawbone, and it was a hole in my sinus was created while that dentist was removing the bad tooth, and it had to be repaired twice. So when I got the CT scan on that, it was an Indian doctor, and I have had a lot of good Indian doctors. I believe they are, whether they practice Ayurvedic medicine or not, they just are more likely to actually care about true health and get to the root of the problem. Not always. I had one Indian man who was an ENT whom I didn't feel was helpful at all for me. But every other instance, I feel like they're like super helpful compared to the doctors that aren't Indian. So I am glad to see there are a lot of them. I think that's good for us in our country. And he said, avoid getting CT scans. Because after he did the surgery, I was like, are you going to do another scan to make sure like it's all good? And he's like, oh, no, no, you want to avoid CT scans as much as you can the rest of your life. And I was like, okay. And I honestly don't remember. I think that was before I had the one done on my pelvis. And I remember like, all the signs because we did that in his office. He was an oral surgeon. So he had this machine where I just stood up. And when I went to get it done on my pelvis for the inguinal hernias, it was like all these warning things everywhere talking about how much radiation. And I believe it mentions cancer risks. Hi, Mr. Cleverling, if you're still here. Oh, I'm like way far up in the chat. Hi, please let her talk. When she's done talking about the topic, then she reads and socializes, Yoder said. That is true. Thank you, Yoder. Dark Magician, I meant the inguinal hernias affect digestion. That's what I meant. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything important. Oh, I'm glad you're doing good, Dark Magician. I'm doing pretty well. So I had the CT scan scheduled for today. Red River Gorge. And I chickened out. We did go to the place in Elizabethtown, which is kind of far away. So we made a day out of it and we got Chick-fil-A because we don't have Chick-fil-A near us and went to Abraham Lincoln's birthplace in Hodgkinsville. They have this really nice park. It's completely free. It's a national park as well as a historic landmark. Really, really nice, super easy to get through in an hour. I mean, you could spend a few if you really loitered around, but like it's small, the trails are short. It is so beautiful. There were so many giant, huge trees because this was dedicated for a state for some kind of memorial to Abraham Lincoln in like the late 1800s, early 1900s. I wonder I feel like that might be an what they call an old growth forest or like I have no idea, but it was really neat. They actually have some of the trees identified. I really like that. I want to try to learn more about tree identification. I would love to be able to look at any tree and know what it is. And so we went to the CT scan place, and I tell the receptionist, like, this is how my anxiety is. It's completely internalized. Like I'll sit there and talk to you like this. Like I'm about to start panicking. I'm gonna like hyperventilate. And I don't like sigh like that or anything. I'm panicking inside. I don't feel good. I'm extremely anxious about this. And I wanted to avoid this. I asked for an MRI. I asked if we could ultrasound it. Look, I'm like underweight right now. Like I am like thin enough. Like that's one reason they don't lean to ultrasounds for hernias, I read. But then like, can we at least do that before we give me a year's worth of radiation? And these women were so nice to me. There was a receptionist and she's like, of course, I'm not a medical professional and but she was definitely empathizing with me and she's like, maybe you need to like try another doctor if they're not listening to you. And then she had a tech come, or she was just walking by and she's like, "Oh, talk to her about this." And I talked to the CT tech and she was like, "Yeah, unless you're getting them like every 3 months, I wouldn't worry so much. And we are going to use a smaller dose of radiation on you because you are a smaller person." They do some kind of scan to figure out the dose they're going to use. And but she also empathized with me and was like so considerate and kind. And so it's always nice to have a good experience because it's human nature to focus on the negative, right? And I could sit here and talk for 4 hours like I did last night. Oh, I'm not going to do that tonight, but I could talk for 4 hours about my bad medical experiences. I've already told you 10 times about the first visit I ever had to an ENT, and it was after both my eardrums busted simultaneously in the same night. And I think it was related to that bad root canal that was an infection that dentists wouldn't listen to me about. They kept giving me x-ray after x-ray, didn't show up on an x-ray. And then when the guy finally pulled it, I was like, why didn't this show up on the x-ray? He's like, oh, like a chronic infection in your jawbone isn't going to show up on an x-ray. I'm like, once again, um, I literally had to throw a fit like a toddler. I started kicking my legs because he was asking me to just take a round of antibiotics and like try something before extracting it. And I was like, no, I can't move my mouth. I can't take a bite of anything without it hurting. So it just goes on and on. Um, Adults only. This is for adults. No children should hear this. My last pregnancy, one of the reasons I chose to home birth, I sincerely felt like I was losing my mind when they gave me the glucose test, first of all. Sincerely. I wanted to have the option of opting out of the Rogam shot. I already had it twice. I learned that if you do have an accident or a fall, you can have that shot within 48 hours and it will still protect you and the future baby and everything. And I had so many interesting conversations with phlebotomists about that shot. And one woman, I forget what I asked her, but she ended up answering me. She's like, honestly, they tell us something different about it every year. And I thought that was super interesting because when I had my first two kids, I didn't know that shot is for your subsequent babies. And we were already like, oh, this might be our last baby. We kind of wanted more, but we also knew we should probably quit at 3. And so, anyways, I made a deal with the OBGYN who approved the home birth that I would get the Rogam shot if the baby came out positive. He came out negative, so I never needed it in the first place. Even if the dad is negative as well, meaning there's no chance your baby is not going to be negative, they won't listen to you and forego it because of the chance of the woman cheating, which I do understand. I understand that. Somebody last night was asking me if I believe in DNA testing, like paternity testing at birth, and I actually do. I'm a mother of 3 sons, and before me and my husband were officially together, like we were very casual and then broke up and found out I was pregnant. And before we came back together, we I had a DNA test done for his first son to prove to him and his mom, and he knew he wasn't questioning me at that point. We were like getting along, very cordial, but like I understood why. I mean, it sucked. I wasn't happy about it, and she used some weird company that obviously like they had never heard of before, and it was just a hassle. And it was like my newborn baby. I wanted to cocoon, and I'm like taking him to this German hospital so he can meet his dad sooner. But it is what it is. And so my third baby, I went to this clinic. This is another thing I can't stand. My first 2 kids, you got assigned a doctor, and granted, they might not be the one to deliver your baby. And I don't like that term at all. They literally come when the baby's like coming out, literally the head's coming out, and that's when the doctor walks in the room. I don't like that they get all the credit, you know? And it's like I signed up for a clinic and they make you rotate through all the doctors, and usually there's, like, so many, you know, there's, like, 6 to 12 different doctors, you see each different one, and you never know which one is gonna be there when you birth your baby, and they do this out of their own convenience. I don't think that's really great for the already not so great infant and maternal mortality risk. I would rather have the doctor who has taken care of me throughout the whole pregnancy, personally, and that's one thing I really don't like about the design of, like, the system, and it's such a, um assembly line, it feels like, you know, and I sincerely mean it and not giving any medical advice, but I empathize with any woman that feels the same. It's like you can't opt out of these things and you're made to feel like you're like absolutely crazy, a bad mom if you don't want to take the glucose test. It made me feel crazy. And I have PCOS. I believe it is insulin resistance involved. I always have borderline high white, I'm sorry, I do have high white blood cells. I have high sugar. So I always get, like, borderline too high. They make me do the second glucose test. Oh, it's so awful. It's so bad. It has to be so bad for your baby. If it made me feel that bad. So anyways, I'm dragging this out. I sign up for the clinic where, the doctor was who delivered my first baby, okay? And Okay, I'm gonna have to, like, rotate through. The first guy that they assigned me to, people are gonna think I'm exaggerating, I'm not. Once again, adults only. He put his whole fist in me because I told him about my cervical issues because I already had them at that point, and he made me bleed. I was in the parking lot crying, talking to the office manager, making a complaint. Within 2 years, and this man, he has bad reviews. Like, there's a Google review, a woman said he was rough with me, and that just broke my heart so bad. I've never read anybody say that about any other OBGYN because I've been to tons dealing with this, not taking, "Oh, it has to become advanced cancer to take it out of your body." And, I would go to a new one every year, and I know they were well-meaning, but I had friends and family that were like, "You need to stick with one doctor." Like, that was the problem? No, the problem was the doctors wanted me to wait until I had official cancer to do anything about it. I mean, it was obviously staring me in the face. Most people, they do clear it up. Your immune system takes care of it. Clearly, after 10 years of this, mine wasn't. And I know I repeat myself a lot. I'm really sorry to the like regular viewers when I do that. But I had two doctors tell me it wasn't my body unable to fight two strains of high risk HPV for 10 years straight. It was my husband cheating on me and coming back with the same two strains of high risk HPV and giving it to me again. Is that two different ones said that? And then I've had, OBGYNs I told that to, like, can you believe what these people told me? They were like, "Oh, yeah, no, I've heard that so much from women. I like, there's so many doctors out there, like, just like, you know, eh, I just think that's absolutely terrible to be putting those thoughts in any woman's head that your husband might be cheating on you." And another thing that's just popped into my head, I don't know why. When I first started going to gynecologists, they asked you how many asexual partners you had and how many abortions you had had in your lifetime. They don't do that anymore, and I think that's also really interesting. And they're the ones that should be helping to educate the masses that, like, yes, less partners is ideal. That doesn't mean you're broken, you're less than, you're all used up, and you'll never be a good monogamous partner if you do have a history where you slept with a lot of people, you know? But okay, that guy that I just talked about, that doctor, oh, I said this, he retired a few years after. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm sure I wasn't the only person that complained about him, and because I was pregnant, I was trying so hard to, like, be happy and not like, I should have taken that to the next level. Honestly, I should have filed a complaint, like, state level, but I was just, like, trying to be in my own little happy pregnancy bubble and not get stressed out. Um, yeah, once again, and there's like the fruit flies, we do always have fruit, you know, but, like, we don't have rotting fruit. It's just, like, they're so bad, and then they get attracted to these lights, and then I feel like a dirty trailer trash in Kentucky in the countryside with my flies flying around my ring. Okay, I'm gonna say hi to people. Hi, Nick, if you're still here. I'm sorry. Well, I guess you're not gonna hear me say you're sorry. You're supposed to act like Supergirl that or Ratchet to let others quote respect, but in reality, they just don't know how to respond to things they weren't taught by life or TV, MMOJ said. Are you talking about the doctors, like the healthcare professionals? Obama put the nail in the coffin. Thanks. What do you mean by that, Lucas? Okay, so I thought about that like DEATH panel. Remember, like years ago when Obamacare came about, um, which somebody brought up, like they took away that pre-existing conditions, like insurance companies can't deny you because of pre-existing conditions. That was one great thing to come out of it. But I wish that could have been done without it. But oh goodness, the I don't want to say this word because I monetize this one. It when they were turning me down saying it had to become cancer, I wondered, is this part of that DEATH panels people were talking about, like, when it came to, um, the changes in the system, like, insurance companies and I know there's good doctors out there that are at the whim of the insurance companies, and they don't like it either, and they've got so much debt, they're pinned in a, hard place. They can't really leave their profession and make enough money to even pay their debt to go from going to school. Collar breathing method and anchoring for comfort, Keith said. That sounds neat. I definitely practice having golden light or like an orb surrounding me. That was one thing somebody said is like a protection thing. And so, yeah, I expressed to Anna that I chickened out on my CT scan today, and she wrote me such a lovely email that was a great example of women supporting women. And she helped me realize, I need to stop. Thank you, Everyday Joes. Joey, you don't have doctors in Puerto Rico? That's awful. Samo, so I think that ultrasounds can be bad. I think they can be damaging, and it's one of those things, of course, the benefits outweigh the risks in a lot of cases, but, my most severely autistic son had the most ultrasounds, and I wonder if that was part of it. They made us do an ultrasound when he was very big. I was, like, 37 weeks pregnant because I didn't gain enough weight, and he was fine. He came out 8 pounds. They were afraid he was too small. Um, yeah, Neon, I don't have a degree. Did Cigna and TriStar hospitals ever come to an agreement? Michael Walker said. Michael, if you're still in here, I don't know what you're talking about. We don't have, I don't believe we have those in Kentucky. So tell me, oh, yeah, it was pretty good. After I no, my husband didn't leave. After I chickened out at the CT scan place, I had lunch with my son because he was sweet to accompany his mom on, a day out. And then we went to Hodgkinsville, Kentucky, which is Abraham Lincoln's birthplace. It's a free park. It's really nice. And it has this log cabin encased in this big fancy building, but it's not the cabin he was born in. For, like, a few decades, I guess, they're like, "This is the cabin he was born in." It was from the land that his father owned where he had a farm, but he wasn't born in that particular cabin, but it's still neat, and, it's a replica of that era, and I'm so sorry, guys, excuse me. I'm so sorry. Definitely not gonna be on for 4 hours tonight. That was insane. I knew I was on for 3-ish, but when I got offline and saw 4, I was like, "Oh my." I I don't know who would wanna listen to me for that long. It's not about accreditation, it's about the potential breach Birth Act said. If you're talking about midwifery and, like, home births, a good midwife will be able to deal with that, and definitely transfer you to the hospital, and she has things like Pitocin, that helps stop bleeding in certain situations if you didn't know that. That's why you would use Pitocin on the way to the hospital. Um, your grandma gave birth at home and didn't complain nearly as much. Oh, no, who's complaining? When I gave birth, it was actually the most pain there was pain, but it was the best birthing experience because I used hypnobabies. I was bound and determined too, and no, I don't think I deserve a trophy. People always say that, but at the same time, like, it is something that you're proud of when you accomplish it as a woman. It doesn't mean that every woman has to do it, though, in my opinion. What is I don't guys, if you're expecting me to get to a point, I kind of already doctors gaslight everybody altogether, I feel like, but there is something going on with, like, classism. I was denied surgery when I had a precancerous condition for 10 years. Obviously, I'm heading towards getting cancer, and it's really interesting to me, and I guess, I don't know if I just don't have a good enough point for you guys, to, be entertained with, I'm sorry, but Kentucky, how are you doing? Good evening, I gave you a subscription, I'm a live streamer from TikTok building my channel. Oh, that's nice, East Bay Chef. Do you post on YouTube at all? I live in Kentucky in America, and I did have look at me, I threw my notes down. I should have said that at the beginning too. This is definitely more of a chit-chatty live. I don't know how many of you I'm sure there's lots of you that aren't American and aren't aware of how our system is set up. I think a lot of Americans aren't even aware of how it's set up, honestly. They don't teach us about it in school. It's confusing. As an American, I've had private insurance through my employer, Medicaid, which is completely free government insurance. That was during pregnancies and 6 weeks after pregnancy, and then, government like Obamacare, where you do pay a premium, but it's definitely more affordable than if you were to get it from another insurance company privately. And what really needs to happen is to revamp the system and stop charging like $100 for a bag of saline, like $2,000 for an overnight stay in the hospital. Like they don't, nobody stays overnight in the hospital anymore. I'm trying to remember what somebody told me they went home after is like something that like their relative had like major surgery. They considered my hysterectomy major, but they send you home within hours because insurance companies are so egregious with their pricing. And we would all be so much better off. I really do feel like it's destroyed the American dream for a lot of us. Meaning, when I think about all the money that we have spent, my husband doesn't have a retirement account because we like cashed it out. to pay for one of my sinus surgeries because it's, like, more expensive to pay $500, $800 a month out of pocket just for the premiums than it is to for a family like ours that are living paycheck to paycheck than it is to pay out of pocket for the big expenses, chunks of expenses. And now, like, of course, we couldn't do that now. We've got too much going on with all my health issues, and my youngest son, he has to be put to sleep, like, for dental cleanings, and that's only been twice now. And hopefully that will change, because nobody that's not ideal. Women in America, Darion, I don't know if you're still here. I'm so far behind in the chat, but you said women in America don't honor virginity anymore. No, it is unfortunate, and it's like we're products of our environment. There's so much over sexualization of women and commodification of sex altogether that it it is bad for women. It's bad. Women in America would rather use babies as financial abuse than actually wait till they're married, Warforged said. I don't I don't know, like, I don't wanna call anybody red pill and, like, assume things about people, but it's like, I get a lot of, like, red pill people in here, I feel like, which is fine. Babies do cost money though, War, and there's calculators where they use people's income. Anybody that's tuning in, we're done talking about the medical topic, I feel like. They use calculators and yeah. Joey, I can't torture myself anymore. Okay, bye. You're probably already gone, I'm sure. Apple cider vinegar and soap. Yeah, for a fly trap. Oh, that is something that we've done before. You're right. We need to do something like that. And it's really, I don't know if you guys have seen any at all, but like it's just like one in this room right now. Obama was mid at best, guys, so that's funny. Are we still being charged for not having insurance? It depends on what state you're in, James, not here in Kentucky. State issued me to call partner, so I did with Social Security and third party call. Turns out 3 days later, Doc called me and said it was shingles in my crotch, too young to think to sue. Oh, that sounds awful, Yoder. What a horrible thing to go through. And you were young at that? Oh no. That would be so scary. And that doesn't seem right. I've never heard of anybody having to have a social worker on a third party line like that. Tea packets have too much microplastics. Yeah, Chewy, I do make my own tea with things I grow at home and use like those stainless steel metal things. But like throat coat is I always have throat coat around, but thanks for saying that. You're right. I probably should avoid them because I avoid other plastic, like I really hardly have any plastic in my kitchen. Oh, thanks, insane. What's your opinion on mandatory DNA testing? Warforge, do you mean paternity testing if you're still in here? I think that that should be mandatory and they're already taking the baby's blood most of the time. People do deny that newborn baby blood test, but like my midwife said, like most people get it. Even the Amish people she works, I'm pretty sure she said that. Maybe they don't. But like um yeah, if they're already taking the baby's blood, especially, I think that that should be done because it is a shame. And but like so ancestry, whatever, the genealogy sites, I wanted to do that because they used to tell you if you had MTFHR gene mutation, meaning you need methylated vitamins. It's this whole thing that was like I don't want to say popular, but like, talked about in the autism community. And then they took that away for the 23andMe because they knew people were using it for like legit medical concerns. I don't know why that's a bad thing because they tell you all sorts of stuff, like your risks for certain cancers and whatnot. I didn't do it because we got the kits. And first of all, I didn't know you had to like spit over and over. And I was like, my sons are not going to be able to do that. They're not going to, I just knew they weren't going to do that. And then there was this clause that said you had to let them use your DNA for anything they ever wanted to in the future. Like, I'm consenting to let you use this and to any research or testing. I didn't like that. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to pay you to keep all my family's DNA in somewhere. And I encourage people in my family not to do it, but they did. So after a few people did it in my family, the only thing that came out, there wasn't "You're not so and so's child." That didn't happen at all, but there was a few illegitimate children that the men fathered during marriages that came out, 2 uncles. So I do get it. Women do that to men, and I think historically they used to do it a lot more probably before the DNA tests were even a thing, and it's a shame. Um I feel like abortion should be legal. I'm in Canada, and I don't agree with how they made some abortions illegal. Yes, I'm pro-choice too, and I wasn't as pro-choice. This whole everything that's happened in the last several months in our country has made me officially pro-choice. I didn't used to call myself that. You see things like I forget the name. It was Adriana Smith was the name of the woman who was in Georgia and had a brain clot, a blood clot in her brain, and they forced her body to stay barely alive on life support so her fetus could grow, her baby. I don't consider them fetuses, I consider them babies. I don't think they're parasites or anything like that, but it's like seeing things like that play out and like, wow, they like doctors can't like help them put the nuances in the laws so shit like that doesn't happen. You should write first and summarize it in a conversation because you definitely said more than 500 words, less than I do have a few notes, and some of my lives are a lot more organized than others, and this definitely isn't one where I have a whole script that's 40 minutes long. I'm sorry about that. Ultrasound procedures are safe. 20 plus years as a biomedical engineer, safe, Trident said. Well, that's nice to hear that from a biomedical engineer. That's a really neat profession. And it really is like a conspiracy, and I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory, if it's that serious. It is speculated that they could be harmful. So I definitely don't want anybody to think like there's any proof out there, but it's just kind of like the CT scan thing. So the accumulative radiation over a lifetime, like there's all these different factors that play into it because I'm under the age of 40. Once you're 40 and above, your risks go way down. But is that because your life expectancy is just like 30, 40 more years and you're not going to have enough time to develop what the younger kids do when they're exposed to the same amount of radiation? Um, I know, like realistically, I just feel I do not want to go through another surgery right now. So why get the CT scan? But I know I'm gonna have to get it, like, Anna made some really good points, like, I need to be stronger than that. I am more than my body, and God put me here to go through all of this, and I have severe pain sometimes when it flares up, but because of all of my medical anxiety, which a lot of it comes from being gaslit by so many doctors for so long, being misdiagnosed, not diagnosed, not helped when I was developing cancerous lesions, it, like, just came to a head. It was absolutely awful. Once again, it's not poor me, feel bad for me. I want to, like, help other people that feel the same way. Like, I know I'm not the only person who drove well over an hour to get to a place for a medical test and chickened out, and those women were so nice and empathetic in their proof. I get proven all the time that there's good people in the medical profession. It's just, like, the MDs tend to not be true healers, but a lot of it is the way our system is set up. Hawaii or Bahamas? I would go to Hawaii because I've already been to the Bahamas. Hi, I'm doing fine. How are you? I don't know what your name is. Um, Docs are the worst, John. So let me think. What else? The hole that was created in my sinus because of an infected, like the roots of the tooth were infected, chronically calcified into my jawbone, and like I guess the act of taking that out was what created the hole initially. But whenever the hole opened back up, I use this, like, pore vacuum thing, which I still use, but I'm really careful with it around my sinuses, and I think that might be what opened it back up, but it was, like, one of the most painful experiences. I had to keep my head like this. If I looked up or down, like, at all, it was, like, extreme pain where the hole was, and they would not treat that as an emergency. I kept telling them, like, "I'm in extreme pain. You can't complain about pain because then they're gonna think that you're a pill addict," because they created this current opiate epidemic. There's been a few other opiate epidemics created, and, I do believe that in my opinion, it wasn't done not on purpose. They try to act like all, "Whoops," like you never heard of, like, the other opiate epidemics, and the way they treat us when it comes to pain, you know? Um, I don't eat crackers. My channel offers healing strategies. Keith Van, join me. Oh yeah, I need to subscribe to you. I'd really anybody that wants me in particular to subscribe back, I'd really appreciate a comment, like, you know, not the chat, like a comment in the comment section of one of my videos, if you don't mind, if you care. Because a lot of the times, like I will look it up word for word the name and I still can't find the channel. Completely free, not if you pay taxes, Skyway said. Well, yeah, we're definitely taxed way too much. American dream is just a dumb illusion. To me, no, you're not wrong. I mean, it is now. And when it was a thing for a long time, it came with it so much hard work and grit. I don't think most people could accomplish like what American pioneers did. And I'll make a short edited video of it. I promise it won't be completely crappy. But when we went to Abraham Lincoln's birthplace, it was really great to be reminded. When I was a child, I went through an Abraham Lincoln phase. I was like obsessed with Abraham Lincoln. And for my seventh birthday, my parents took me there. And then we went to Illinois because he just lived in Kentucky for the first few years of his life, and his family moved to, I think it was Indiana, then Illinois, or maybe I'm wrong about that, but we went to see some play in Illinois. And I'm not going to remember the quote, but it was this great quote that's like, he's an ordinary working man, and he freed the slave. And I didn't really like the lingo, but it was like this old plaque, and um, he was sent here to do that. And there's this little sinking springs right by the building with the cabin in it. It's so cool. And just another example of like a really cool spring fed. Well, it's not a pond, it's like a sinkhole. I guess that's why they call it sinking springs. There's probably caves under there. But they're like, this is probably where Abraham Lincoln took his first drink of water. It's really cool. If people are polite, she watches your channel and posts them for more watches and subscribers, Yoder said. Yeah, like I'll actually give you views and I don't just like sub. I like to support other small creators. I think if we all made it a goal, like if we could all do that for each other, then a lot more of us could get monetized sooner. Yeah, they all sit under the same umbrella. I know, Leon said. I wouldn't have crashed out my retirement to save you. He is crazy, Manyanyo said. Oh, ouch. Well, that's what marriage is all about, like being there for each other when you need each other. Hey, Gru, how are you doing today? I share my verbal medicine skills. It brings me peace and a purpose, Keith said. Verbal medicine. I've never heard that before. That is neat. I had an abscess in my intestine. Oh, that sounds so bad, Alan. I had to go to 3 doctors before I found one that could help. I also had trouble getting in with other doctors because they said no, they don't do second opinions. Yeah, I kind of didn't. Hey, Tim, how are you doing tonight? I'm going to keep asking you how you're doing. I didn't really express that. I don't. When I was, like, trying to get that taken care of, I remember, like, being in their office for, like, the evaluation meeting and telling him, like, "Ugh, please," he's like, "I'm gonna have to, like, put you out for this," and then he didn't end up putting me out for it because I didn't wanna pay for the anesthesia, and it really didn't need to be put out for that, I didn't. I've had so much dental work stuff and stuff in my mouth, and he's like, "Oh, you sat great for that. I thought that, you would have to be put out, but I'm glad I didn't put you out," and it was like, okay, I went to a dentist and then he's like, "You need to go to an oral surgeon." So I went to an oral surgeon, and then he said, "I want you to go to U of L and, like, do this thing where they take cheek fat, like, fat from the inside of your cheek and, like, use it to plug up the sinus hole." And then they wanted me to wait 6 weeks. I was like, "I can't wait 6 weeks. I would like this doctor," and he was really cool. He didn't charge me anything, once again, paying out of pocket, and that was really nice of him. He was an older gentleman, probably had all of his student loans already paid off a long time ago. And I couldn't wait, and I really wanted to take his advice. I ended up at another oral surgeon, so I was bouncing around a lot. They were all acting like, I mean, it's a hole. You could see this hole. There was a hole in my gum and communicating with my sinuses. And they're like, "Oh, and like, isn't this a severe risk of infection? Like, I have this hole at the top of my gum." And it was super painful, but they would not listen to me. And I was in the office and they were like taking this emergency appointment for somebody that had a cavity. And like, I get it. Those cavity tooth pain is so bad. My grandma would say she'd rather be in labor than have a toothache. Like, I get how severe it can be, but I felt like that too. And they weren't taking me seriously. And they did make me wait like a week or two. And it was absolute torture. But he actually did give me he wasn't gonna give me pain management, but he said he had to cut more than he thought he was gonna have to or give me more stitches than he thought he was gonna have to, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm definitely gonna give you." And it was really wild how I think my face I've had 2 molars removed, and that one was, like, all calcified into the jawbone real bad, and, my face didn't swell up that bad when I had molars removed. So, yeah. Hi, Paul. I didn't want to turn this into just like what they call trauma dumping. I don't believe in trauma dumping. I mean, I think it can happen in certain circumstances, but like every single time somebody complains or tells you a story about something horrible that happened to them, that's not necessarily trauma dumping, in my opinion. But at the same time, I don't want to just sit here and talk at you guys about all the horrible things that I've been through. Um, I don't think subscriber only mode is necessary. I'm probably only gonna be on here for, like, 15 more minutes anyways, just so everybody knows. Uh, Last night was crazy. I was worn out. I was like, "How did I talk for 4 hours?" It takes 2 people to make a baby, so responsibility should fall on both parties, Rear said. Yes, and people were asking, saying, like and I had to talk with my 15-year-old son about this because he I asked him this was months and months ago, I'm like, "You know who Andrew Tate is?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, and da 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 da," and I'm like, "Okay, well, let's have some talks." So, it's an ongoing conversation, right? Like, you can't just have, like, one birds and the bees talk with your kids and, like, "Oh, I taught them right," because they're getting constant messages, they're being bombarded every day on a daily basis with messages from other people, influence from outside of yours. So you need to like check in with them and, but not do it too much. But he's great. He knows, it's for the best. So I was like, there's some people in my live chat last night. Like, there seems to be a lot of men that think because women can get some abortions, men should be able to opt out of taking care of the child, paying child support, and, like, I just don't think that's right because it's an innocent child. It's not about you or the woman and, like, one being right more right than the other. It's about there was this innocent being created, and that person deserves to get help, and I don't mean this towards all men, but because so many men for so long were so horrible and just picked up and left their entire families, leaving them destitute, they had to enact things like child support. If men did what was fair, like and this is back when most people were married, doing it right. Like, if men didn't fail so much back then, like, in my opinion, I don't think they would've, enacted I feel like male legislators enacted child support laws because they had seen females in their family be affected. Maybe their own mother and family were even affected by what it means when the breadwinner of the family abandons the rest of them. It happened a lot. Oh no, Allie, I just haven't had a lot of practice talking, I guess. But I have had people tell me that I would be good, like a good journalist or whatever, like even when I was younger, which is a huge compliment because I really would like to get a journalism degree or work in that field, and not necessarily to be on TV either, more to write, but, um, the whole DNA crap and online things, I did not do. I just see it as we are all lab rats. Yeah. Okay, so, yeah, I thought that was super interesting too, like, isn't I have a big family on my mom's side of the family, and, like, a handful of them did the DNA test, and then all of a sudden it's like, "Oh, so and so has a child. Oh, and like your other uncle has this other child and like but I have yet to see in my family, that's my anecdotal evidence. So any child be like, "Oh shit, you're not my dad." I think that did happen a lot more back in the day. And like some people speculate even like up to a quarter of births. I like to think that's not that true. But like I think it's horrible. One of the worst forms of betrayal a person could do, and that's why you have to be super careful with who you lay down with, and that's what the root of the problem is. It's not, women trying to get money from men, it's men not taking things as seriously as they should, and the woman too, but, like, if you're going to risk this, you might have a child. You are signing up for potentially paying child support for the rest of your life, or the child till the child's 18 or whatever, through college, and if you don't look at it like that because that's how women look at it, every single encounter as a woman, you're, like, worrying about getting pregnant because you either want it or you don't, and it's constantly on your mind. Tim said, "I'm not as happy as I was before. I won't ever smile ever again." Oh, I don't know if you wanna tell me this, but do you mind saying, like, what state you live in or, like, what region of the country even you live in, Tim? I'm assuming you don't like to go outside because you would have already done that, and I don't wanna tell anybody that's, like, in in a depressive state to get pets, but, like, it also is, like, something that brings so much joy to my life. Oh my gosh. If you have one good cat in your life, like, it's hard not to be happy. My cat is actually on my bathroom rug in there. I love him so much. And when we lost our dog a few years ago, it really like, they are a part of your family, and I don't wanna invalidate, like, anybody that's lost a child or anything, but, like, when people make fun of people for considering them, like, true members of the family, it's like, they're with you every day, and especially the bond you have when you raise a dog from a puppy. Not that I've had rescue dogs too, and I know that bond is its own kind of special strong as well, but, like, when you've raised that dog from a puppy and till death, like, it's just the hardest thing I've ever been through emotionally, honestly, was losing my dog. So then it's kind of hard for me to, like, suggest for people to get, um oh, I do put highlighter, like, blush on. I have, like, I like the ears the shimmery kind of blush, but I don't wear it at work. Like, it just looks good on camera, like, this really helps. I mean, I think I have, like, decent skin for my age, right? For that hashtag for my age. Yes, that's like my pain I had before surgery. All docs were like, "Why didn't you come in sooner if it hurt that bad?" Me, because 'cause I'm not a whiny bee. Because a lot of them probably would have dismissed you or, like, they would have ordered the scans probably, but, like, they're not gonna, like, take anybody's pain seriously. We are offended you're not grateful for all Europeans have done," Leroy said. "Well, why do you think that?" I think that we're all here in this time now sorry for scratching my nose for a reason, and when people talk about, like, this land was stolen and colonized, like, it's just a part of the cycle of history, and I am thankful that this country was colonized by Europeans at the time that it was, because they have made a lot of advancements, but it is, a lot of it has to do with stealing resources from other people but it's like, it is what it is. I said this last night. I think it's super interesting. The cultures that are very polygamous tend to not be as developed. It's just so interesting to me. Europeans need to stick together. Well, Leroy, there's so many. I don't know if you're in the US, if you're an American, but I'm 25% Central American. So, which I understand, like Spanish people came there, but yeah. I don't believe that's true because a child needs stuff and you're not doing it for the mother, you're paying for the child, Conrad said. Exactly, Conrad. And it is a shame when women don't take care of the children and use that money. But like people that complain about spending a few $100s a month, everything is so expensive. That's why I get really excited over any activity that's free because everything costs so much. Like, unless you literally never take your kids anywhere, just food costs a lot. But like with the prices of everything nowadays, like oh, and hey, Frosty Cupcake. I'm sorry I didn't say hi to you. How are you doing tonight? I'm sorry. Conrad, I've never had a father in my life. I never knew who he was. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Conrad. That's terrible, but maybe it was a blessing in disguise too. I love cats and animals in general. Sam, am I saying it right, Samo? I'm just going to call you Samo because I feel like I say it different every time. Hi, Grimace. How are you doing? Thank you, Conrad. Um, well, that's what I was saying, Grimace. Like, I think that when people say that, I don't want to say it's silly, but it's like, well, Indian tribes fought with each other too, and it's like, well, the Europeans fought and they won, and that's just what happened. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying like that's what happened, and now we're all here now, and I'm definitely thankful for advancements. Okay, I'm sorry, Leroy. I don't know if you're, like, completely trolling or not, but, like, I don't appreciate the undertones of the sentiments you're bringing here. This whole stealing land stuff is irrelevant. The past is the past, and we should be grateful we live in a time and place now where we don't need to worry about that happening to us now. Desert farmer, that's a great way to put it. Yeah, right? I was instilled in that, and I'm grateful for it. Like, that was instilled in me that I was really blessed to be born in this time, in this country, especially as a woman, but of course, that was before like 911 and a bunch of other stuff happened, right? You live in Arkansas, Tim? You're from Hot Springs, Arkansas? That's cool. You're trolling too hard. Just enjoy some McDonald's instead. Passionate about white people. But but why? Why? I just I don't get it. We created everything. Well, I don't know about that. Didn't like the cradle of civilization is where a lot of things came from and weren't like those people brown? I need nail polish. I have been considering painting my nails for the first time in a while. I don't own any nail polish because I work in a assembly line in auto manufacturing. So I'm sure it would be like, all chipped up. What did Africans create? Well, this is how I look at it, Leroy. First of all, people have stolen their resources from them for the last few hundred years that we've been all like industrial revolutionizing over here. Second of all, um, what was my second point? I would rather there be more people who didn't bastardize the planet, destroy it, poison it, make it unlivable for future generations even, destroy our oceans, pollute the oceans. I would rather people that didn't do all of that have more control of the planet than the people who are more advanced. Where is this advanced technology getting us? Like, it was good to a point, but, like, it's detrimental in a lot of ways, and the overconsumption and everything, we could learn a lot from people in Africa. I follow a few people. One is this former model, I'm not gonna be able to say her name, that Joy Winnie is like it's a Kesh or something, and she went back to live in the village that she's from, and she vlogs her life and shows it. That's the people I think about when people say goofy shit, like, "We can't give them septic tanks because 'cause they'll dig them up and sell them." Or, like, I guess maybe they think they'll, like, destroy them, they'll do something bad to septic tanks, like, I'm doing good, Dave Yeet. How are you? We were all African to begin with. Almost all DNA traces back to that. Colors changed with migration. Yes, Yoder. Exactly. I homeschool my kids, and we start at, ancient Mesopotamia, Sumeria, or like the real beginning of history as we know it, right? In this cycle. And I really don't, I think a big part of Americans' issues here as Americans is we start to teach our kids history at 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, and it's part of our little, like, narcissism bubble problem here. Like, we really don't consider the rest of the world, like, we're so focused on ourselves. Hi, Bout, how are you? Hi, Hoopty. Hey, Red, how are you doing tonight? We're just chit-chatting now. I think people can probably tell that, and was gonna stay on here for a good hour. Tim, I'm gonna try to see what oh, Tim said I'm leaving now. I'm gonna try to see what is going on in Arkansas and maybe help you, but at the same time, I I don't know what else to do because when I'm feeling super bad inside, like getting out all the things that I'm talking about help, and it makes me feel bad that that's not helpful to you. It feels unproductive as well, but I hope that one day something does help. But yeah, I don't want to be too nosy and ask too many questions. I'm not American, just popped in to say hi, Red said. Oh, that's nice, Red. And good for you. Don't believe my people came from Africa, Lex said. Well, it's like it's scientific. It's one of those things. It's not about you believing it or not. It's just the way it happened. And like, um, gosh, I can't think of the word. Like mathematics, everything came from there. People wouldn't be able to do what they did in the ways that you're talking about it if they hadn't started everything there. And I do think it's really interesting that it's like, okay, so that happened a few thousand years ago, and now we like advanced so much, and now I think we are retarding. We are. We're going backwards. And that Sydney Sweeney ad, when you watch the old Brooke Shields ad from the 70s where she's talking about her good genes, like it's so much more eloquent and she's like saying all this stuff. It sounds like she's reading from an encyclopedia. She's like, "Oh, and then, like, sometimes there's gene drift, and that's when genes decide to just na 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 na." And she says all these different things. And then our new version of that, it's like, "My genes are blue." It's just like it's really interesting to me. Just like our music, it's like so much popular music is literally like kindergarten reading level when songs used to be like poems put to music. Speaking of which, I hope Mr. Carey is doing well and enjoying his time. Not having to mod my chat. I was just thinking about him because he has a channel where he sings, and does duets and stuff. Yeah, nope, not in my house, just like you. We talk Egypt, Mayans, all that good juicy stuff. Yes. Samo, I don't know who banned you or timed you out, but I'm sorry about that. Samo's a good one. I don't think he needs to be timed out, just so everybody knows. Or she, I don't know for sure. It's racism fault. Let's talk about it. Okay, what are you talking about exactly about to duel? Are you talking about the healthcare stuff? I definitely think there's systemic racism in healthcare for sure. I definitely think. And you see the infant and maternal mortality rates with Black women, especially, that proves that. So yeah, they don't listen to any of us, and a lot of it is because of the guidelines they have to follow with the insurance companies that have more say in your healthcare nowadays than the actual doctors, which is super warped. Why we pay for knowledge to systematically hold us back. Oh, okay, about to duel. I'm glad you said that. Thank you for clarifying. So, yeah, you're right. That's what I was. So that it was super advanced over there in the cradle of civilization, Africa, northern, and and I almost feel like we took from that, you know what I mean? Like, we took everything we could from that, and you're right, there's, like, the library in Alexandria that was burnt down, like, who knows what knowledge was just demolished in an effort to take away from people like that. But, yeah. Is there anything else anybody wants to talk about before I get off of here? I think I'm probably gonna go in, like, 5 minutes or so. I definitely want to get in bed earlier. I was so stressed out and, feeling super anxious about the CT scan. It like physically wears me out as well. But I'm gonna miss you guys during the week. I'm gonna miss getting on here and going live. I did go live during the day one day, recently. So there is a possibility. It just kind of depends, on how I feel when I wake up. And if the kid is in the house. And I still have my beautiful flower right next to me. I think everybody's pretty chilled out. Yes, I was live for a long time, 4 hours yesterday, and I won't be going live the next few days. I do wanna whip up a that's why I couldn't respond to you. You were timed out too, Tim? Oh, okay. Are you guys subscribed? I think they put it in subscribers only mode. That might be what's going on. So, if that ever happens, and I don't you can do whatever you want. But yeah, I'm gonna throw together this video. I think it's very poignant. All the topics we've been touching upon lately is with racism and everything, like Abraham Lincoln. And I know I've seen this quote from him too. Of course, I have to be a Debbie Downer and ruin it, but there's like this quote of his. It's like, if I could have done what I did and not freed the slaves, I would have. I don't know if any of you know what I'm talking about, but it was like, I'm not trying to paint. I was like, oh, he was like the greatest person to ever live. Like, I don't think it was like it's that black and white, but at the same time, it is what it is. There's abolitionists, there was people who were against slavery, always. There's people who had general stores who refused to have anything in their store to sell to the public that came from any plantations or farms that used slaves. That there's one in Indiana, or is it Newport, Kentucky? I believe it's in Indiana, Levi Coffin House. I've always wanted to go there. It's like on my list of things to take a field trip to, but we haven't yet. And they were a part of the Underground Railroad as well. So like there's always people that saw it for what it was and saw the horrors of it. And I believe a lot of those people were truly good Christians too. They were like reading the Bible every day and thinking, "Oh my gosh, like how could you treat human beings like that?" And like we're supposed to love everybody no matter what. Hoopty, I don't think I'm racist, no. Least racist people in here, we don't see color. I was raised I don't think it necessarily has everything to do with the way I was raised, but I was raised on a college campus where I went to school with so many kids from all over the world. It was so neat, like literally any place you can imagine, Russia, Japan, China, everywhere but Antarctica. And then we moved to a half an hour away from the border in California for a few years. So, being raised like that, and then when we moved to a small town in Indiana, which has now became overrun with immigrants, and I know that's a delicate conversation, and people are going to consider me racist for calling out the obvious in terms of what has happened with immigration in our country in the last few years. But I also want to punctuate that with, I don't believe what they're doing to deport them is right or fair, and it's unconstitutional, and I don't like how they're handling the legal what some would consider illegal immigrants that, like, came across the border so much. Oh, Aaron, no, hey, how are you doing today? I was getting ready to go, but I'll stay on for, just a few minutes, and we listened to words like this and thought it was fine. About Tadul said, I don't know exactly what you're talking about Tadul, and I would like to know because you gave me a really good answer last time. Hi, fun guys. Hi, Larry. So I was talking about how I went to Abraham Lincoln's birthplace, and it there's this quote, I don't have it memorized off the top of my head, that's on this plaque, and it's on the actual building, I believe, that is there, and it's, like, saying it's really neat. It's saying, like, "This man, he was sent here, he was an ordinary person, but he was sent here to do something so great, to, like, free slaves," like, had to happen. I am from Kentucky, and I live here now. We can do nothing because the devil is real about to duel. I definitely believe that there's always a battle of good versus evil. Like there's definitely, and I think some people call the evil devil, which I get. I do that sometimes too. Yeah, it just anybody knows if anybody calls me baby, I'm gonna ignore you. Unless you're like a middle-aged or older woman in the drive-through around here. I'm a married woman. I'm nobody's baby but my husband's. But yeah, spiritual warfare constantly. Yes, Aaron, definitely. So yeah, I'm not talking about the force, about the organizations. So I'll make a video about it. I think that we need to get back to that, like the sentiments that were had decades ago. When people talk about they want to get back to like the 50s, it's like I know segregation happened after, but there's a sense of pride, like, and it's something that's nice to have as a part of Kentucky. We are the birthplace of Abraham Lincoln, even though he hardly spent any time here. I traveled for 2.5 years, and what I found is America is a great country. I wish you all could have seen what I've seen. Well, that's nice, John. America is a great country, and every state has something different to offer. I feel like if I ever was blessed with, like, having YouTube as a career full time, I would definitely want to travel, like in our country. I don't have the desire to go outside of the country. Time travel is real, about Tadula said. Well, they've had, haven't they had, like, not that it's anything I could do, but equations that have proven it's possible. Larry Middleton. I believe I remember you, Larry. I don't know for sure. Kentucky is a beautiful place. I grew up in Southern Illinois. Oh, that's neat. I've never been absolutely far west in Kentucky, like by Illinois, and I want to. And it's even a different zone. Like the garden zone is a step up. And there's like a teeny tiny part of Kentucky over there. Okay. You have some more set vibes. That's a compliment. Oh, Xander, no, Jagged Little Pill, that her album, was it called Jagged Little Pill? I should know this. That album was one of my favorite albums when I was growing up, and I take that as a compliment. I think she's a beautiful woman, and I love her vibes. I listen to Alanis Morissette often now. She's one of those people like Dave Matthews Band. I don't listen to the newer stuff. I couldn't tell you anything fairly new, but like her and I believe that might have been a sophomore album actually, because she was making music in like 14 years old, but like that was such a great album. They don't make albums like that anymore, do they? I mean, I'm sure they do. They just don't get promoted. They're not like whatever will become mainstream. And I was listening to Adele's album 19, like such a good album. And she was 19 years old. Same thing with Fiona Apple's first album, Tidal, I think. She was 19 years old and just composing. She wrote all the lyrics, all the music. There's so many beautiful songs. And yeah, I feel like we're all getting sucked and zapped of like our creativity. And part of that is the way that they don't have anything but sequels and movies anymore. Oh my gosh, it's my favorite little kitten cat. Come here. Come here. He's he's meowing at me. Okay, I'm gonna get you guys to meet my cat. I don't know why I said it like that. I'm gonna get you guys to meet my cat. Gonna get you. Oh, he wants to make biscuits on the bed. Okay, this is the world's sweetest little boy cat. His name is Token. We adopted him like, oh yeah. These lights aren't as bright as they could be. I have like the yellowish mode on. Here's my boy cat, Toki. I swear he's like part ragdoll because he will let me like hold him. Okay, of course he's gonna be like a little awkward here on live, and you can't blame him. He feels awkward on live. But he's the sweetest boy. I love him. And we adopted him. Husband found him outside. It was like this lady had a bunch of cats she was trying to rehome. And then we took him in, like, we got him neutered and rabies shot and defleed, deticked and stuff. And then, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Oh no, I'm so sorry. awful. Now he wants out of my lap. Okay, say bye. And then he was inside for a whole year. And yeah, I did put an antibiotic ointment in one of his eyes. His left eye is a little wonky, and it got a lot better. I probably should do another dose. And he was fine with being inside. Even though we found him outside, we were like going to keep him outside. We wanted an outside cat here because there's so many mice, in the country. And the people that lived in this double wide before took the outdoor cat with them. They like trapped her. Like after we moved in, they were coming over here every day trying to trap this cat. Oh, there's mice. There's lots of mice. And by the way, we're going to trap this cat because we've grown an attachment to her, even though we've never touched her, which I get it. It's kind of cute. They wanted to take her to their new property to be the mouser over there. And we thought he's an outdoor cat. I'm not the hugest fan of having an outdoor cat, but our street is pretty low key and we are pretty far away from neighbors. After a solid year of being okay with being inside, he just decided he wants to go outside again. So now he goes in and out. And if you saw, he has this like some missing fur because he had a boo-boo there. He had a puncture wound one time. Oh my gosh, we're so blessed that puncture wound wasn't any worse than it was because I just treated it with povidone, povidine, iodine, something that's safe for cats. And of course, we would take him to the vet if it had any signs of infection. I was watching it real good, but he's just stretching. And we see he had like this puncture wound in his side. He is like the sweetest. Outside is okay as long as it's secured, right, Samo? I just I worry about, him catching a mouse that's been poisoned more than anything. That's what I worry about. He was an indoor cat, and he didn't go outside at all for a year, but here in the last few months, he's decided he wants to go in and out now. He doesn't want to always he is the sweetest boy. And everybody loves him. Our female cat, we had a sweet female tortie. She was the same way. Anybody that comes to our house, she would greet them like a dog and like want to sit in their lap. She was so sweet. She changed minds about cats. And he's the same way. Like if somebody comes over, he's like, "Hey, how are you?" And like rubbing against them and being all sweetie. And he holds his own with our big dogs. Cats can switch from wild and domestic. Yeah, isn't that neat, Xander? They say they're the only animals to have domesticated themselves. They're so neat. Why did healthcare ruin the dream? Mostly because it takes too much from us financially, mostly, but it also devastates people because it's designed for profit for the insurance companies, and too many of us are suffering. There's a lot. That it probably was a better script I could have written, and I did one live already that I privated that was about medical gaslighting, and I just feel like, oh, I talk about myself so much sometimes. I guess, like, I know it is my channel. Hey, Diamond, this is my little tabby. He's just a tabby, but I swear I think he has some ragdoll in him somewhere because he is like I've never had a cat that I could hold for so long. And he goes outside. We found him outside, and I was just telling everybody how, like, for a year, he was okay with being an indoor cat only, and then he just took it upon himself to start going in and out, and, like, we have 2 big dogs, so it's really hard to keep the cat inside. And we have done it a few times, like, when he was healing from some of his wounds and, make sure he's in the bedroom with the door shut before we go out with the dogs, and, um I'm not a cat person, I just wanna clear that up. Leon said, "Canadian police has a moose." That's cool. I would be super intimidated if I ever saw a moose. Cows scare me. They don't scare me, I'm just apprehensive, like, really big livestock would be I think I could get over it. I would get a smaller cow, though. I'd try to get, like, a smaller Jersey cow for a milk cow. He's falling asleep. "I always get blocked from other lives," Canadian police said. Aw, sorry to hear that. I mean, I don't know if you deserve it or not, but you won't get blocked here as long as you're respectful. Can be random and off topic all you want. Sorry, I'm running late. I'm not feeling the best, Diamond said. I'm sorry you're not feeling well, Diamond, and I hope that you get good sleep tonight and you feel better tomorrow, whatever is going on. I looked out with an agoraphobic cat. Ah, mm. Be sure to hit the thumbs up, Diamond said. Thank you. That's really nice. Okay, I don't know about you, Voxel. Well, I think it's about time to cozy up with this little boy cat. I just call him my little boy cat because he's such a sweet boy. And if you guys, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be doing the baby talk. If you guys haven't experienced the the love and friendship of a boy cat, oh my goodness. It's like girl cats can be so sweet too, don't get me wrong. But I had no idea that boy cats were like this. And then when I was like telling some people about him at work, like one of my coworkers was like, "Oh yeah, boy cats do tend to be like uh more loving." Has that been your guys' experience? I know you have cats, Diamond. One of my coworkers has 13 barn cats, and he and his wife caught all of them, neutered and spayed all of them. Um, it is a problem out here in the countryside. I've noticed way more stray cats than in the countryside in Indiana. Your cat acts like this, yours truly. Oh, isn't it the best? And that's what I was saying earlier. They've said that the purrs, like the frequency, or would it be like the megahertz? I don't know, whatever, like, their purrs are healing to us, and I have no doubt, I think my animals have definitely helped me heal, get over things, like, whatever is going on. I was really anxious this morning about the CT scan I ended up chickening out on, and, my husband did put him on the bed because, like, he knows I love him so much. He's shedding right now in real bad, but the way he got on my lap and, like, he reached his arm across my lap and, like, yeah, they definitely know when you're going through something and they help you out with it, right? No, I haven't seen fishing tonight, Diamond. I'm definitely a country girl, Canadian police. I have lived in cities before, and I think when you're younger, especially, a lot of people like, I'm glad that I had that time, but I would never want to live in a city again. I grew up on a farm. I totally love to take a ride. Yours truly, I don't know what you mean by love to take a ride, but or do I? Um, there's so many beautiful farms around here. I don't know where you live. Yeah, oh my gosh, like I I say it my husband said one time, "It's like we live in a calendar." And, like, today on the way to the CT scan place, it was probably annoying to my son. I'm like, "Oh, it's so beautiful. Look at it, it's so beautiful. Oh," it's like the green grass. It's called the bluegrass state for a reason. Like, there's so many beautiful, vibrant shades of green, and it's all at once, and I just love it so much. Didn't know there was a fish in the lake. She bawled her eyes out to the point she called her parents for the first time I saw the difference between country and city. Um Who did that, Yoder? Did the fish bite her, or did she just this person just get, freaked out over the fish just being there? And I know, like, a fish bite isn't really a bite, a horsefly will hurt worse than that. Yeah, I don't know why, but boy cats are more loving, Diamond says, so Diamond agrees. Country. Here in Africa, we get better healthcare than America. I wouldn't doubt it. Oh, you're in Africa? See, I keep calling you something different every time. Samo? That's so neat. But yeah, I used to save all my bottles, like pill bottles, supplement bottles for this charity that churches participated. You would drop it off at a church that was participating in it, and they would send those bottles to countries in Africa because a lot of people there, they'll like walk 7 miles to get antibiotics for their sick child or themselves, and they don't have containers for them though. And like the things we take for granted, like we would never not have a container for our pills here in this country, right? And so it's like little things like that. It's like, yeah, I don't fault people who live like that. And actually, like all the people that want to live off grid and idealize living off grid, myself included, like we could learn a lot from the people in Africa, or a lot of people in Africa. I am aware there are cities in Africa. Their purrs are healing to us and it can heal our bones even, Diamond said. Yes. West Texas, I see you. Need your genuine opinion. I was born and raised in a small city, but I moved to Montreal, a bigger city. I didn't like it, so I moved back to country. Is it wrong choice? Well, Canadian police, you yourself know if you're like truly more content. I there's so many factors that play into it. I myself would rather live in the country, make less money, but have a bigger yard, like more property. Like there's pros and cons to it. I don't know that much about Canada, but if I hope you're happier. Um, oh, yours truly. That's too much. Uh, do you know anything yet about your CT? Okay, Diamond, I chickened out. I didn't get the CT scan. And I know I probably will end up going and getting it. It's just like I told the lady, I was like, I'm about to like breakdown. I'm like panicking inside. I don't want to get all this radiation right now. And like, I know that there's plenty of people that have gotten lots of CT scans. This is where I'm coming from. I'm still healing from the hysterectomy. It's been 3 months. I still get like some sharp shooting pains, like I know I'm still healing in there and everything. And I don't feel right about radiating healing tissues. I just don't. I chickened out and I know it's not super smart. One of my friends was like, "You were in pain, like, you need to do this." And I'm like, "I know you care." Excuse me, that's the first time I've ever burped on live. I know that he cares, my friend from work, that don't have to go to Africa, same basic life in rural Alabama and West Virginia. That's kinda what I was saying. Hey, I remember you. How are you doing, MacGyver? Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like the people that live off the land and, like, you need wood to build a fire, to cook and everything. It's like we're not that different when it comes to basic strip away all of this excess, all the things that really don't matter, and the overconsumption, materialistic things, like, we're not that different. I don't think he's ever fallen asleep with his head like this, but then again, I guess I don't sit like this with him that often. This is a great live. I'm sure this channel will help with the crisis, Moonrock said. I have a feeling you're being sarcastic, Moonrocks. But even though I don't think I'm making waves when especially when I don't have a better script with more facts to like teach people things, I think that conversations are helpful. And it's nice to know you're not alone, right? More the poverty. My daughter was born C-section. Now every time she leaves the house, she goes out through the window. You're talking about the poverty in regards to Alabama and Virginia. Yes, McIver. That is true. And yeah, I'm not trying to like idealize that either, but people were being disparaging about people in Africa. One guy in here earlier was going on and on about how white people are superior, basically. He said everything but that. And yeah, I feel like yes, they might not be as developed as us. And at the same time, I said it. I'm glad that our country was colonized when it was by Europeans because I am glad to be here now. But at the same time, I see how bad the pollution is and everything that's flailing. And I almost wish I was born in a place more rural, African like, but not where they do the genital mutilation stuff. Hi, Kaiden. How are you? Kaiden is a neat name. I don't think I've ever heard of that before. And David, Wade, I feel like I've seen you before. How are you? Hi, Dennis. Hi, Galaxy Girl. I know I do this a lot. It's my cat. It's the sweetest little boy cat in the world. I don't want to bother him. He's about to go out for the night. And that's the thing. We did try to get him in the habit of going out during the day because I just feel safer. And, like, my husband saw a bat flying around earlier, and I was like, "Ooh, be careful because there are rabies and bats in Kentucky." And we get all of our animals the rabies shots, but I was worried about my husband getting bit by a rabid bat. And, but he'll wake us up meowing at like 3:30, 4 a.m., so we just put him out there when we go to bed now. And I don't like it because I worry about him. Look at this little sweetie. I look AI generated. Oh, I hope not. Did you guys hear Vogue put out an issue? The first issue since Anna Wintour left. Jeff Bezos' wife owns it or is in charge of it, whatever. They used AI images and they had a little disclaimer saying like this was made with AI. So it's not like they're and a lot of people are really perturbed about it, myself included. And I never buy Vogue. I grew up with a mom that loved Vogue. I don't think she was like subscribe like she would get it a lot at the store. She didn't get a monthly subscription. But anyways, that's besides the point. I remember, like what it used to be. Like, oh my gosh, that Demi Moore when she was pregnant on the cover of Vogue, there's like so much beautiful art has came from that. And like You're gonna cheap out. You all don't have enough money to use real models because that's what it comes down to, right? It's like cost effective for them to not have to hire the models and the makeup artists and the light artists and the whatever, like get the venue rented out. But then all those people are also missing out on that money. And it is nice to see like people take that seriously. Once again, first world problems, right? Like it's totally not something to get like really mad about. I heard you talking about your health problems. I hope you get well, David said. Thank you so much, David. That's very nice. So I'm trying to focus right now on hi Matthew, how are you? I'm trying to eat better. I eat a lot of like M&Ms and M's and potato chips at work. You know, I use it as my excuse like, oh, I'm working on my feet. I can like eat some junk food, but that's not right. I need to really focus because I think it's hypocritical of me and I'm calling my own self out that I like avoided getting a CT scan because of hernias when I'll eat like crap and eat all these preservatives, food dyes, GMOs, stuff that I know is bad for me. And yes, I do believe GMOs might be bad. I'm not a scientist or giving any advice, but I don't think they're good. And I do think they might be a reason why there is an increase in food allergies. But that's a whole other that would be a good live. I could talk your guys' ears off about food allergies and sensitivities. Hope the kids are doing well. Hope you're doing well, Sam A said. Thank you so much. Everybody is doing well overall, and I hope you are too. It's gearing up for back to school time, you know, it's an exciting time of year. And my teenagers are like, they're so precious. They like school, and that makes me so happy. Can I see your cat? Is it all right if he doesn't want to? I'll lift him up. He might jump off of me, but that's okay with me because my hand's starting to fall asleep. I hope he doesn't jump off of me though. You don't have to be a scientist to know that GMOs aren't good, Caro said. Yes, exactly. I just always have to make that disclaimer because you know how people on the internet can be. And I definitely don't think I'm a know-it-all. And if people take any amount of time to listen to me talk, like I you really don't think I'm a know-it-all. Um, oh, I mean, Sam, you should have seen me as an actual teenager. John, have you been in here before? I'm gonna say that I've seen you in here before. Love you too, John. I'm sorry, girl, not gonna be able to mod tonight. My youngest daughter is making me clean the house and paint the walls. I'll catch you later. Oh, I'm gonna be off here soon. Thank you for stopping by, Diamond. I'm glad you stopped in. This is a nice, low-key chat. Say bye, Diamond. See, I knew he was gonna do that. I moved him and he's like about to jump off. His name is Token. My middle son named him that. Because when we first got him, once again, he was an outdoor cat. He liked to hang out in the woods behind our house. There's actually this hollowed out tree that he I have yet to see him emerge from the hollowed out tree. Everybody else has seen it. But he's so cute. My teenager was like, he reminds me of like a character in a game. And you know, like they'll have like a token above their head, like spinning around or whatever. And like for some reason, he's like, yeah, let's name him Token the Forest Cat. And that's what we did. You can ask anything you want. I might not answer, but I might. You're the one worth 1.89 million. Well, John, with all due respect, in my opinion, people that are worth 1.89 million don't really go around talking about it on YouTube chats. But if that's true, good for you. I'm sincerely glad for everybody. There he goes. Who is not struggling. Um, and if you have 1.89 million, that to me says you probably worked for it. A lot of people do. Good night, Anna. I hope that you feel better and better, even better tomorrow. And thank you for your little pep talk earlier today. I needed that. Maybe it would be just a good time for me to go ahead and go. I don't have any help from mods. Oh, I need to make Anna a managing mod next time we're on. You start school in 2 weeks and you're scared, Galaxy Girl. Can I ask what grade you're in? Do you mind? Or you can tell me, like, are you junior high, high school, college? It always is an anxious time of year, right? But it's exciting too. And just try to look at it like, good night, Diamond. I hope you feel better. You will never be around this many of your peers at once, most likely. Okay, there's always going to be exceptions, but like you won't probably be around this many of your peers ever again. And it's special. And try to enjoy it. I wish I would have enjoyed it more. Okay, guys. It was nice talking to you. I know this was like very chatty. I promise next weekend I will have some very well constructed scripts and I will have a lot more to talk about. But last night really was fun. Anybody that wants to catch another live, I go live on the weekends. I'm going to be working Tuesday through Friday. So you're in the middle school going to seventh grade, Galaxy girl. Oh, well, yeah, that is a very nerve-wracking time for a lot of us. Just try really hard to enjoy it. Anything bad or embarrassing that happens to you, anything negative, nobody's gonna remember it. Even you probably won't remember it in a handful of years. Like, these really are some of the best times of your life where you should be, like, enjoying yourself and finding out what your interests and hobbies are, and just enjoy. I hope you don't have to pay any bills. Not having to pay bills and going to school and yeah, keep thinking about thank you, Samo. It was nice talking to you. And I'm sorry, Galaxy girl, I'm gonna get off of here now. I don't mind young people watching me, of course, but I do have a lot of adult content, and mostly it's talking about like medical issues, or things like adult media, but like it's still like just, I really appreciate all the support from absolutely anybody. But yeah, I hope that you can just train your mind to not be nervous about it. Every time you get nervous, think a good thought instead. And written affirmations greatly help. Write down things that boost your confidence, make you feel good. Put a note on your bathroom mirror, on doors you use frequently, things you see often. If you have a dresser mirror, and it helps to make a conscious effort to retrain your brain when um, if it's that serious. I don't even know if it's that serious. But I'm getting off of here now. I really appreciate all of you guys, and I love you. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you Saturday.